Young whelp, come on over here.
Yes, Grandpappy?
Come, sit on my knee. Grandpa Ysera needs to tell you a story.
Does the story have superheroes?
Nah, none of that made-up cartoon shit. This is the time that Grandpa fought in the Battlegrounds. I was just out of the academy when war broke out. I was young, but my country needed me, and I found myself the sergeant of a small fire team. The first soldier sent to me was a scrawny kid from West Tennessee. Danny was his name. He was young, too young for war, but I could tell he had patriotism flowing through his veins. Then soon after that was Remy, odd fella, bouncing off the walls type, and couldn't keep his hands off the flamethrower in battle. He needed some discipline, but turned out to be a valuable asset. And there was also this other dragon next. What was his name? Let's just go with Stuart. He came from a wealthy family, and his plan was always serve, kill a couple of beasts, get out, and become a politician. I didn't like the cut of Stuart's jib, but he was part of my team. Then there was Hank, big guy, from Michigan if I remember correctly. The gentle giant type, but man could he hark down some grub. Not a ration plate was left dirty with Hank around. Hoover Hank they used to call him. It was tough in the beginning, but we had each other. We had brotherhood. We'd go into a battle and get scraped up fighting demons, murlocs, robots, and God knows what else in those jungles. We'd be out there for days, dehydrated, muddy, but we always promised each other that we'd all have to make it back to camp to have dinner by the fire. Remy somehow always found booze, Danny would pellet his banjo, and we'd at least be able to heal up our spirits by singing and laughing together. We started getting good, real good. All that eating did Hank right because he just kept bulking up fight after fight. Remy discovered a local supply chain for cocaine, and his productivity on and off the battlefield skyrocketed. But there were losses early on too. That Danny kid, a week after he told me he eventually wanted to become lieutenant, and damn it, I think he had it in him. We got ambushed on our way into town. A stray bullet right through his heart. They choppered his body off to his family. He was 20 years old. That night by the campfire was quiet. I threw the banjo into the flames, knowing that if we heard it plucked again, it would hurt our heartstrings too much. Pretty soon, though, we were the talk of the camp, and after getting promoted to officer, we added the talent of Warren, an older guy that turned out to be a sex offender.
What?
Never mind. That's when Ronald joined. You remember meeting my good pal Ronald? He's always been a good guy. And he joined just in the nick of time, because it was the first time our infantry came across the most evil ever contained in a single mortal being. So twisted that our opponent, the devil or God, couldn't have created this. Dancing Daryl.
That's a funny name. Why'd they call him that?
Funny? We sure weren't laughing when he'd get down from his vantage point in the middle of a fight, take out a cane and top hat, and dance on the dead bodies of our fallen brothers. He was sick. And the enemy gave him the most unethical weapon the war has ever produced, the .22 Soul Juggler, gold-plated. I'd recognize that sound anywhere.
Oh yeah, I recognize that from COD.
Hey kid, shut the fuck up. Let Grandpappy tell a story. The barrage of bullets forced us to retreat with only God protecting our backs. My men and I barely made it out alive. Well, everyone but Stuart. His body was recovered. Sort of. He was so mangled by the bullets that only half of him made it into the closed casket, and from what I saw, there was nothing resembling a man there where he apparently laid. The image is still printed in my mind, clear as day. The boot prints canning on the blood of my brother is something that I carried with me the rest of the war. Of the men who made it out with their lives, they lost their souls. I had promised myself I'd end that son of a bitch Daryl and dance over his dead body with his boots.
Grandpa, I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay. We needed a boost to morale, and that's when Darnell joined the team. Smart, quick, and a powerful tank engineer. We were a year and a half into the war, and now that we had tanks, we could finally strategize. And boy, did we start kicking ass. Nadina joined the fight, helped enormously with our defense strategy, and and quite the looker, too.
Was that Grandma?
Nah, just a random fling. She was actually the first to die in battle, many times. We had our game plan, and we were unstoppable. We were plowing through the competition. But war always reminds you that there are no real winners. Remy, that crazy motherfucker's flamethrower exploded when he tackled a gnome, leaving him with burns all over his body. My memories of his joyous hoops and hollers around the campfire were erased by the screams that rang out as the medical staff tried to tend his wounds that night that he died on the table. Soldiers moved in and out, and the infantry was quite large at that point. The rat was a good test run, but we came out on top, and it was time to face our rivaled enemy once again, Dancing Daryl. With my leadership, we were a well-oiled machine, but Daryl had also gotten stronger. Now he had two 22-22 soul jugglers, and hell rained from the sky. We fought hard. My men put everything into the fight, but we fell just short, and your grandpappy nearly lost his life. We retreated, got reinforcements, and came back. The rat nearly broke my northern front and could have taken height advantage, but none other than that creepy son of a bitch Warren popped up from a trench and gunned him down. Sometimes you need a bit of luck, I guess.
But what about Dancing Daryl?
Daryl. Well, son, we had to figure out a way around his 22-22 soul jugglers. And you know what we did? We got thicker. Ronald got the P90X DVD set and got dummy thick. And Darnell got us all into CrossFit and post-protein workout shakes.
So wait, you guys just worked out a bunch?
Sonny, you gotta understand something about war. I was bench pressing 400 pounds. That counts for a whole lot. The battle was fucked, and so was Daryl. It was a tough fight, but we brought it to him, and we kicked their sissy asses as they ran away. I approached his bunker after receiving a declaration of surrender. There couldn't have been 20 of his men left. I privately entered his quarters, and once he signed the surrender agreement, I took him as prisoner, and we went home.
Wait a second, you didn't dance on his dead body.
Well, Daryl faced the council and got life in prison for war crimes. And after just 15 years in jail, he died alone. I heard about his death in the newspaper, so I went up into the attic and dusted off an old box. I went to his solitary grave, took out the old blood-stained boots from the box, and danced on his damned body for hours. And whenever I want, I can take them boots down and do it again. That's patriotism.
Huh.
Yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
Can we get some ice cream?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Grab your coat. Young whelp, come here.
That's not sustainable.
Young whelp, come here. Young whelp, come here. Come sit on my knee. I was young, but my country needed me, and I found myself the sergeant of a small